morning, everyone, and welcome to Monday, April the 24th edition of Mindset Monday. So last week was really supposed to be the culmination of the series that we have been going through: Focus, Clarity, Level Up. James Dentley with us for Law of Attraction. Well, that was really going to be where we stopped. However, begin with the end in mind. That is very important with anything and everything you do. You must know where you're headed. Many times movies are filmed in reverse. They start at the end and they just film it until they get to the beginning. That way, when they complete it, it flows. It's in sequence. It is perfect by the time that it is finished. How horrible would it be if you start a movie? Obviously, we're not film producers. I'll have Don in here with us one Wednesday night. He is a film producer, and he'll be able to chat with us and explain this more in depth. But how horrible would it be to start a movie and get midway through and say, hey, this doesn't flow, and I have to start all the way over and restart everything? Now, in life, in business, we are not always able to do that, to truly start at the end. However, we must know the end. We must know where we're headed. And like we talked about a couple weeks ago, we must be willing to pivot. Sometimes you are on the right path and you just got to make a little tweak. Sometimes you're on the completely wrong path to get to where you want to be. So know where you are going, or else failure will ensue. I have owned a commercial services business for 20 years now, and I am an overachiever. I'm a go-getter. If y'all haven't figured that out about me, I would go after. I used to work for U.S. Food Service. They deliver food to many, many restaurants around the country. And so they have tractor trailer fleets everywhere, all over the country. When I initially started, my goal was I'm going to take over every one of them. I'm going to be nationwide. I'm going to run every one of them. A very audacious goal, which that's how all of my goals are. And y'all are about to see that. And that obviously changed. I pivoted from it. I did the locations here in Georgia, did great. And truth be told, at that time, I was making so much money and working so little in reality that I was happy. I wasn't chasing after more money. I was chasing after more. I was making more money than I had ever known in my life. And I was literally working maybe 4 hours a week. Maybe. And so that was good for me. So I somewhat gave up on the view of that goal. Bringing that into present day, there are very, very big goals with what we're doing here. And I'm always willing to pivot and change and do what's best for this community. It's a ride or die type thing. I've got y'all's back. I'm here. I'd like die for this, die for you guys. It's that important to me. One reason is because I do see the end in mind. With that being said, that end gets bigger and bigger and bigger almost on a daily basis, because the vision for it continues to expand and continues to get bigger. And although this may sound like we're starting a vision call right now, we're not. It is all about beginning with the end in mind. Now, as many, if not all of y'all know, I am on the program along with Lisa Manzo called 75 Hard. If you're not familiar with this, it is a mental toughness program. Mental toughness is starting to make a lot more sense to me. I did not go to sleep this morning until 10 minutes till 3. because I was not finished with everything I had to do. Presently, I have a trainer, a mentor, most of all, a friend in town, and he and I sat out back in the hot tub in my backyard until 1:30, and then we came in and we just started talking and just started going. I mean, we had a great time. Yet I hadn't done my reading. So I came in, sat down at this very desk at 2:30, and I read. I achieved. Because what are we on now, Lisa? Day 8, is it? So we are officially 10% of the way done.
Yes, we are.
I was at church yesterday, and I chronicle the journey on social media. And a dear couple there, up in age, I walked over to them and just gave him hugs, shook his hand, all that type of stuff. Great, great people. And I was carrying this water bottle with me. This confirms for me I drank a gallon. So I was down in this like an alcoholic, turning up the bottle while I was at church. And they made a comment to me about that bottle. And I said, I'm on 75 hard. And she said, yeah, I've been watching it. And she asked me how far into it I am. I said, Ella, I only have like 90% of it to go. And she busted out laughing. And she said, oh, only 90%. I said, yeah. Her husband looked and said, that's the difference between optimism and pessimism. Absolutely it is. Because see, 75 days is a lot of time. Yet, the moment that I bought the book, well, my wife bought the book, thank you. The moment that I had the book, it came in the morning. I had the entire book finished by the end of the day. And I'm like, this does not sound hard. Well, it didn't. Day 1, super easy. Day 2, super easy. Day 3, with blisters on my feet, it wasn't so easy anymore. Day 4, as I'm taking a needle to pop blisters on my feet, I realize now I'm seeing how it's hard. Last night, when I don't go to bed until 3 o'clock, and then I'm not going to miss this. I've only missed one of these calls in 9 months, and that's because I was on an airplane. Here's the thing, though. Here's where it gets exciting. Not only do I have an accountability partner, many of them. Lisa and I are direct one-on-one accountability partners. When I start putting this on Facebook, I realize people are watching. People like it, heart it, whatever, comment on it, that I typically do not communicate with, which means more eyes are on me, which means success is the only option, period. Not only that, Saturday morning, we went as an entire group, my family, everybody that was available went for the walk. Okay, that's what it's about. One of my kids go with me, and no, this is not all about me. I'm getting somewhere. Stick with me. One of my kids goes to the gym with me I think every single day. I don't think that I've been on the outdoor workout yet by myself. That's what it's about. Sometimes I'll sit there with earbuds in because kids have earbuds in. Sometimes the best times is none of us have earbuds in and we're just talking as we're walking. That's 45 minutes. Not only am I achieving 75 hard, I'm getting closer with one of my kids because typically there's only one that goes with me, sometimes 2, but generally only 1. So it's great. I get closer with my family. What was my number, Kate, this week? It was 3 pounds, right? From last Sunday to this Sunday, I've dropped 3 pounds. It's great. Y'all want to meet my other accountability partner that sits here and looks at me every single day? I'll be right back. Now, I can see that there's a glare because he's right here up under the light. However, let me bring him in closer. Yeah, there it is. It's me. Oh, I just put my head on silhouette. Oh no! Oh, now I'm a gimp head. Now I'm leaning over. So this guy looks at me every single day in my office. And if I'm really tempted with food that I'm not supposed to be eating, he'll be sitting there at the kitchen table looking at me too, which won't be any fun. But here's the whole thing. Begin with the end in mind. Now it's not something that I'm hopeful that I lose a pound or two. It's not something that I'm hopeful that I get ripped. Now I visually see each and every single day me. That is an ultimate mind mess up. That right there gets me to where, as though I had a thought about stopping or quitting. No, because there's the end. I'm going to work and bust my butt until that's achieved. Obviously, this is just with 75 hard. Yet, 75 hard is not even really a diet. It's a mental toughness thing. You always begin with the end in mind. Bringing it back here to thought-provoking change, to this community. I mean, I am just blown away at some doors and avenues that have been opened in the past 2 weeks. Things that are changing with it. Things that when I sat down and said, okay, where is this going to go? I could not have envisioned. A perfect example is today at 1 o'clock, Ken and I have a meeting with Mark Victor Hansen. You know, 3 weeks ago, I could have never envisioned that. Didn't even come up on my radar. However, because there is focus with what is going on and how to grow and how to expand, that's great. For those of you that have been on the vision call, you know that we will be starting an anthology series book before long. That is going to coincide with a podcast that there is somebody very exciting that's going to come on and do the podcast with me. In fact, everybody here, give me a thumbs up if you'd like to hear who it is. Ricardo, do we have a thumbs up from you? Okay, there's the thumbs up that I was truly looking for, simply because Ricardo is going to be doing the podcast with me. So he and I will be doing a podcast on a weekly basis. And man, it is so exciting. Ricardo is going to have to come speak with us here real soon. This dude is a powerhouse. So it's going to be real exciting. But here's the advantage. If y'all are not aware, I am in a book with Greg Reed, who has, if I remember correctly, 164, 168 books to his credit. My wife and I will be in a book with Mark Victor Hansen. Everybody knows Mark Victor Hansen. He has one of the best-selling books of all time, Chicken Soup for the Soul. Where's the advantage? Whoop-de-doo. It sounds like Jonathan's talking about himself. Here's the thing. Why do I want to do a book with Greg? Why do I want to do a book with Mark? Because you're borrowing their credibility. The moment that my name is attached with Greg Reed, my street cred goes up. That one was for you, Danny. Street cred. My credibility as an author goes up immediately just because I'm associated with Greg Reed. Same thing with Mark Victor Hansen. Credibility goes up. And then when we come back here and we say, hey guys, here's an anthology series. Here's an opportunity for you guys. Guess what? Your credibility goes up because you are there then associated on a book with me, who's associated on books with these other people. We're all borrowing each other's credibility. Everybody wins. That's the purpose here. Do I need to do a book right now with Mark Victor Hansen? No, I see the future. You know, Susan and I were talking Wednesday night about the power of an anthology. That's why I am willing to put in what it takes to be with Mark Victor Hansen. It's not cheap. It's well into the 5 figures to do this. Yet, I know what it's going to bring to this community. I will borrow their credibility, bring that credibility that I gain over here so that all you guys gain. You know, we have a book. Matt puts a chapter in there, talks about skinny shots. He immediately becomes an authority. It's called social proof. He immediately becomes an authority on skinny shot, on doing all of this type of stuff. Instantly, there's no question about it. He is a published author talking about it. Instant credibility. Doesn't matter if they read it or not. He has been in a book. He has written about it. He knows what he's talking about. Even if he says this chapter is about the skinny shot, and he talks about how he loves to eat chocolate cake every single day, and there's no way he's going to diet, exercise, and don't take the shot. It doesn't matter because what he prefaced, he's the authority. That's how it works. Again, beginning with the end in mind. There's so many things going on behind the scenes. I gave you an example of the book to bring over here to the community. Everybody will win. Y'all see my ripped abs right behind me. When day 75 hits, or 76, I guess, I will have an updated picture of what I look like day 1, what I look like day 75, side by side. And that won't be it. He's 7 feet tall. That's the only thing that's not legitimate, is that 7 feet tall, and I'll never grow to 7 feet. Unless I'm standing on stilts, or unless I'm, you know, standing on my son's shoulders, because he's going to be 7 feet tall. But that's it. Begin with the end in mind. We will be elaborating, of course, more Wednesday night. However, let me hear from you guys how important it is to begin with the end in mind. Picking on Danny as an example, I asked him before the call started, said, how many cars have you sold? Do you mind if I share those numbers? He said 11 cars. And he sent me a text a couple days ago, saying, you know, there's bonuses at this level and this level. And I said, well, what's your goal? 16 is another bonus. He's at 11 right now. When he came into April, he knew 16 minimum was his goal. He began the month with the end in mind. This doesn't have to be lifelong. It does need to be, yet it needs to be shorter as well. Not, hey, how many cars am I going to sell this year? Chunk it down. Make it easier. You want to make $1 million a year? That seems overwhelming to most. All right, you got to make $20,000 a week. That's a whole lot easier. You got to make or $20,000 a month. No, a week. Which means I really have this stuff memorized. Which means $2,800 a day. Sounds even easier. The reality is those numbers aren't changing. You're just chunking it down. So how have you guys incorporated beginning with the end in mind and are taking those smaller bites like I just used with that numeric equation? How have you backed down to make something easier or started with the end in mind? Lisa, I'm going to call on you first, simply because we are in this 75 hard journey together. And as you are speaking, I'm going to be drinking. Bottoms up.
Well, to start with the end in mind, and you know, in the past, I didn't quite get it. Like I've heard it for so long, start with the end in mind, start with the end in mind. And then all of a sudden it clicked. And because I have a personal goal. And I know now that with the switch, I just need to take that thought process and put it in the business. Because the personal goal is my daughter's getting married and mama wants to look good. Okay. 75 hard challenge, because my daughter gets married a week before we finish the 75 hard challenge, which is so incredibly cool. So now I couldn't quite put it together in my head about the end in mind. And now with the personal challenge, it makes complete sense to me. And now I can take it and flip it to the business. So thank you.
How will you do that?
How will I do that? So I started with writing out my goals, which I have right here on my wall. And that's the end, right? That's the 75 hard challenge. What's going to happen at the end of the 75? They're right here, right in front of me. I read them when I come in my office. It's the first thing I see. And that's how I'm starting, because I have nowhere I'm going in the 75 days. So now I need to write it out, what I'm going to do in my business in the 75 days as well.
Lisa, is that the text communication that you and I have that you just showed?
Yes.
And that actually brings up a perfect point. Lisa asked me a couple of days ago,
where will you be in July 2nd?
She said, where are you going to be on July the 1st? Because June the 30th, June the 31st, whatever is our official last day number 75. I said, I don't understand. I read that in English because what she sent me didn't make sense. She said, I want to celebrate together when we complete the 75 hard. So she said, where will you be? Here was my answer. Again, begin with the end in mind. I said, I didn't say I will be. I said, I am in a state of mental toughness beyond what I have ever known. I am at a place of much lower body fat. I am wiser and more educated due to the books that I have read and many other methods. I am at a new place in life with my diet. I am water addicted. I am much happier. I am closer with my wife and kids. I have impacted thousands of lives by them. I am more fulfilled in many areas of my life. I will have a hairless body, at least for pictures. It takes a long time to shave this whole thing. I am in a different level of my career, leading up to, during, and after my live speech to 10,000 people, June the 9th and 10th. More information coming soon. I am in a state of leading a community right here that is impacting thousands of lives. I am the owner of a YouTube channel that has 6 figures worth of subscribers. Go look now. It has 53. I could go on and on. Where will you be? I knew what she was asking. Where will you physically be at so we can party this thing up? Let's go to the Bahamas. Let's go to Jamaica. Where will you be? That's what she meant. But yet, beginning with the end in mind, and I could read more because she came back to me a couple minutes later, giving me the same response, essentially, on her behalf, which is what she just held up. Here's the big thing. The way that I answered her, I messed up her mind that quick. I reframed the entire thing in a second.
It was a great shift. It was a great shift for me, and I really appreciate it. I'm like, oh my God, he's so on that right there. That's where my mind needs to be instead of where it was. So thank you.
That's it.
Got there.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Here's the thing. That's accountability. She made the comment to me that she has done this program twice, and she didn't succeed. I mean, that's all there is to it. Unless you hit 75 days, you didn't succeed. And I told her, I think it was the first day that we decided to partner up, which was the first day. I said something along the lines of, you've never had an accountability partner like me. Get ready. Every day I send her something. Every day. Here's the thing. She's going to succeed this time. Yes, as am I. Begin with the end in mind. Who else has one? We have about 5 minutes left. By the way, this event is sponsored by The Unscripted Event. Get your ticket today. As they are selling out, we have a thumbs up by somebody that has already purchased a ticket. It will be in the Atlanta, Georgia area, May the 20th and 21st. Don't miss out. This is going to change your life. Danny can attest to that. So get your ticket today, theunscriptedevents.com. All right, who's next with a live firsthand knowledge of beginning with the end in mind and following through with it to achieve the goal that you set? Is this a new thought process to most people? It is. That's great. That's what this is about. One of the things in what I just read to you that I sent to Lisa was to impact people's lives. We could come here each Monday, each Wednesday, one Saturday a month, and just hang out. That's cool. We're building relationship. That's not the point of this group. The point of this group is to say, hey, I took a nugget. You don't have to take every 30 minutes of the Monday, every hour of the Wednesday and say, oh my God, that entire thing spoke to me. It's about helping you feel and taste one little nugget. I remember one of the first business books I read, y'all may or may not have heard of it, called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's kind of new book. I read that entire book. Took me about a month to read that book. I got one thing out of it. That was 20 years ago. The why is more important than the how. I read an entire book to pick up one sentence. That one sentence has me in business still today of the business that I was in 20 years ago. One sentence. So sometimes there's just going to be one word, one phrase, one sentence on one of these calls that you attach to. That's it. Is it begin with the end in mind? For you, maybe. Is it chunk it down? Do stuff in reverse. Again, you want to make $1 million a year. And of course, I just use that because in America, that's some big pinnacle. You make $1 million. If that seems overwhelming, then don't even worry about making $1 million. Just make $20,000 a week. Not a big deal. Just make $2,800 a day, even easier. Just make a little over $100 an hour every hour. Now, most of us have probably experienced $100 hours in our life, if not time after time. All of a sudden, it just got easier. The reality is, do the math in forward, and it still equals the same thing. So it's just one little nugget each time. What will that be for you? You latch onto it and you carry it to your grave, really. Because I'm still living the principles of your why is more important than your how, Robert Kiyosaki, almost 20 years ago. That's very mundane. I was on a Zoom call with a big time mentor. And during our initial call, he said, well, Jonathan, share some advice with me. And I said, your why is more important than the how. And he's, Jonathan, come on now. Everybody says that. He said, I'm not knocking you. I'm not saying that's not important, but he said, go more in depth. And so I did. I poured something else out. And he said, now that's good. And he said, again, after I shared that, he said, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I'm like, no, thank you. Thank you. Because that was a cop-out. That's easy. Your why is more important than your how, although very true. That's what I wrote about in my very first book. It was an anthology. Well, I told my entire life story in 700 words. And then I'm like, Kate, please, Kate, help me, save me. This has to be 3,500 words. Please help. It still rings true. Define your why and know where that end is. You know, for those of us on this call, which I think is most, if not all, we are Christians. We are on a right path with God. What is our ultimate goal? Is it to make $1 million in a year? Is it to look like this? Y'all don't be jealous now. Y'all don't be jealous. Shouldn't be sitting here on this call without my shirt on, but I am. You see it? However, what is our ultimate goal? Our ultimate goal is paradise. And I'm not talking Cancun, I'm talking heaven. Yet there are stops along the way. There are things to do along the way. Know what your end is. Always go for it. I believe in you. You're going to reach it. Make sure to join us Wednesday night at 9:00 p.m. back to our normal time, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Wednesday night, where we will pick up this discussion, go way more in depth about exactly what this means, and help you guys put together a plan and action steps to actually achieve it. You guys are loved. Be blessed. We'll see you again Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I should be announcing May's special speaker. Stick around. It's going to be exciting. Y'all are going to love this. Be blessed.